Let's bring in our good friend Bob Vander Plaats here from the Family Leader. Good to see you, brother. How are you?
Doing really well. Beautiful week. No wasps. Temperatures up. Air conditioning's working. Life is good right now, right?
The air conditioning breaking was a benefit, okay? Because there's a tradition around here that if I ask nicely, nothing happens. If I scream and yell enough, eventually the ownership here will go up to the roof and check the AC unit and find all the wasp nest. I told them we're there all along, right? We've kind of done all this before.
We've done this.
Okay. So the fact that, because I was like, man, the weather's been over in the 80s. I was telling you guys on Friday, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it in. And when Aaron was like, well, the AC's broken, I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. That means they'll be up on the roof, and we'll see right away if there's any wasp nests that are active up there right away. We'll figure it out, right?
We'll be okay. It's a blessing.
Indeed. All right, so let's get to it. All right. Let's talk pro-life politics. What is it? Where's this going? What is the plan right now? Is there one?
Well, I think there is one, and I think right now what you have is you have at least a Speaker of the House. I know there's been plenty of hits on Mike Johnson, but right now he is...
Many of them self-inflicted, but carry on. Yes.
He's all in to defund Planned Parenthood in this reconciliation bill. And so I really believe that this
is the big, beautiful bill that Trump has been
the big, beautiful bill. But if you can defund Planned Parenthood, to me, I've always said that's the lowest hanging fruit for DOJ is get that $700 million. And sometimes doing what's right also meshes with good politics at times. And right now, defunding Planned Parenthood because taxpayers do not believe they should be forced to pay for somebody's abortion. Mm-hmm. And so that's about a 70 to 80% issue.
Now, this has existed. This polling number has been there for like 20 years.
But we have tried to get something done forever, and you just can't get it done. And that's why I really believe right now, because of Trump, his administration, his ability to leverage, has the opportunity right now to get it done in this reconciliation package. I'm hopeful that in this slim a majority of Congress, because of some leaders being sold out to it, we might get it defunded.
It would require this. Mike Johnson, when I go back to when he got picked for Speaker a couple of years ago, and remember you and I were like, listen, I have a lot of relationships in this network of evangelical activism. You have even more than me, okay?
Sure.
I'm like, I've never heard this guy's name once. I go all over the country. Never heard his name once. Do you remember this conversation? We had it right here at this desk.
I remember the conversation.
We had it right here at this desk. And I looked at you and said, surely, given the circles you run in, you get into the places I can't get into. So certainly you are very well connected and familiar with one Congressman Johnson. And your answer to me at the time was?
No. And now, to be fair with him, he was at Alliance Defending Freedom 10, 12 years ago when I was fairly new into this movement. So I probably wouldn't have known him a lot. But as a member of Congress, but I don't know a lot of congressmen. I barely know my own congressman, but I just don't know a ton of congressmen unless they're up there making a lot of noise like Chip Roy and others.
All right. And so the next time that he follows through on fighting for something will be the very first time.
Well, let's hope it's on this.
So this would have to be, and hey, not just because something's gone that way in the past, it's usually an indicator of future performance, but It's not a metaphysical certitude. But this would be something entirely unique from what we have seen from him in the past.
Well, but the thing of it is that this has got to be something that is not negotiated away. Mm-hmm. Because when you're dealing with these slim margins, it's easy to go, we will negotiate this away. This is a high priority issue for the pro-life community. It's a great polling deal, and it fits right with DOJ. Get rid of this thing.
Not to mention this, they've been surpassed now by the Rainbow Jihad, so they're one of the biggest. But for decades, the baby killers were the biggest bundlers for the Democratic Party in the nation. Well, yeah. So Republicans have been funding their political opponents directly with taxpayer dollars this entire time.
Just the 2024 cycle, they spent $70 million to defeat Trump and anybody associated with Trump. So to me, that would be, you're either for me or against me. Well, they're obviously against you. So therefore, if it's transactional, then I should be against you as well during that. The other thing about Planned Parenthood today, Steve, that's the little known fact, they're becoming the leading entity for hormones to kids, transitioning kids, all that stuff. This is bigger than just abortions today. I mean, they've come out to basically we are going to rewrite God's created order. right on your watch. We're going to snuff out human life, and then the human life he does give, we're going to say you're in the wrong body, and now we're going to give you hormones to transition this stuff.
So if this cannot get done, as it has not gotten done in the past, pro-life politics then goes where?
Well, I think what is it still comes back to the electoral, right? So you have a midterm election, and you have a lot of the congressmen, especially in Iowa. You have one safe congressional district, the 4th congressional district, but 1, 2, and 3 are all in the crosshairs. Mm-hmm. Where do you stand on this stuff? Are you going to defund it? What was your vote on that issue? Were you part of the reason that it didn't get defunded? And every congressional race across the country should be looking at this. But also you have key gubernatorial races. We got one here in Iowa coming up that you and I have talked about last week. But where are they on the life issue? Iowa's becoming a very pro-life state, heartbeat bill, all that. Right at conception, life at conception is now being debated in the Iowa Capitol. Those are things that Chuck Hurley and Danny Carroll, two of our stalwarts, would have thought that would have never gotten done in years past.
I mean, to me, I don't know what the future of the conventional, incremental, pro-life activism movement, industry, whatever you want to call it. I don't know what future it has if it cannot do this. I mean, at this, because if you can't do this, then you're saying to people, but we need you to go vote for the very Republicans who couldn't do this for you when they had the chance, so that they can have the majority and not do this for you again. Okay, you can only keep doing that to people so many times, and I am approaching the point where, I mean, people like me, if we run for office, we're going to get saddled with the most based pro-life language and everything anyway. So might as well just own that and get the benefit of it rather than just take the hit for it, particularly because the conventional incremental political lobbying group is putting no pelts on the wall at all. There's no trophies anywhere to be found.
And no matter how nice you say it, no matter how nuanced you are on the issue, they're going to spend $70 million to defeat you.
Correct.
So there's no political win to say, you know what, I'm not going to be pro-life. And the thing is, and I look at President Trump right now, he got a big win today with China and the tariff deal. The market's rebounding, people excited. That base is now going, this guy may know what he's doing, okay? You now give the base of the base a pro-life victory like defunding Planned Parenthood. You just excited this base for the 2026 midterms. I believe that happens.
Pat, where do you think the 4 Republican members of Congress that we have in our state are on this?
I think 3 of the 4 for sure would be defund Planned Parenthood.
Who would the one that you're not sure about?
Miller Meeks. She's been, a little bit dances, and when I say that, she has voted with us right on the issue. I think if she sees that it's going to get defunded, she'll vote with us. But I believe she also takes a look at her district going, I'm in a tough district. But back to your point, they're going to spend all this money to defeat you anyhow. Why not own it and that you stand for a culture of life? And she's a doctor.
All right.
I would hope I'd say 4 out of 4.
You mentioned, we talked about it a few minutes ago. You mentioned, and what we were just discussing, the deal announced with China this morning. It's a 90-day pause on the tariff war. Equivocal tariffs, 10% both sides.
That's a huge
down
win.
From about 120% both sides to 10% both sides. China will agree to keep what I'm kind of describing as a sin tax in place, which is a 20% extra tariff in place for fentanyl-related materials, items, essentially, et cetera.
Sure.
Essentially a sin tax. So that punitive tax will remain, or tariff, Freudian slip, will remain in place. But for the next 90 days, tariffs between both countries will go down to 10%. Scott Bessent said this morning, the Treasury Secretary, that the Trump administration does not want a broad decoupling from China, but does seek a strategic decoupling, that it wants to have more say-so over its own manufacturing base, as one example. So your thoughts on how big of a win is this?
I think it's a huge win. One is he got China to the table. I talk to people all the time. We gave Trump his first stage in Iowa in 2013, and he was talking about China back then. They're just laughing all the way to the bank. And so what he's doing, he's showing that, I'm willing to deal, but I'm also going to support our own manufacturing base here in the United States. And so when there's a strategic decoupling, I think what he's saying is we're going to start manufacturing this stuff here, not just be beholden to it over there.
All right, we have some more news. We talked about this at length last week, so I don't know that we have to necessarily bore the audience with another 20 minutes on the Iowa governor's race, as important as it is.
Sure.
It'll be one of the most high-profile governor races in the country because we are losing one of the absolute, if not the absolute best governor in the country, in Kim Reynolds. All right, so the Rob Sand announcing this morning formally what has been a hidden secret that he will seek the Democratic nomination for governor. You had some thoughts on the way that he is being presented and rolled out.
Well, first of all, the Des Moines Register. Now, the Des Moines Register, I'm not sure how many people read it anymore, but his base reads it.
Not everybody that votes in the Democratic primary is the Des Moines Register reader, but every Des Moines Register reader is a Democrat primary voter.
That's probably fair to say.
Yeah.
Huge article. And what he's saying is that, listen, I'm neither Republican or Democrat. I'm right or wrong. Almost sounds like a Steve Day show. It's not about right or left. It's about right and wrong. And he's saying, I love to hunt. I love to fish. I think people make too much of a case about all the differences that we have versus about what brings us together. The reason I bring him up, he is the type of candidate that the Democrat Party is looking for to highlight. He'll be very formidable. Iowa, Steve, as you all know, we went from a very blue state to purple state to a deep red state. Mm-hmm. They would love to get this seat back into their hands. He's a guy that's won statewide. He's going to have a lot of money. I think his campaign is going to be nationalized. I think at minimum, it's one that your listeners really want to watch all of the developments that are going to take place in this Iowa gubernatorial race.
To me, again, I think it is a terrible idea to run a member of Congress against the kind of figure that you're talking about. And I think you have to run somebody against what. I agree with you that this is that Skynet has adapted, and this is, even though he looks every bit as dorky as Tim Walz, he's younger. The presentation is way more sophisticated. Like they've learned some lessons of what happened before. Okay, and again, we have no idea what the environment will be at this time next year. I will tell you, I'm more optimistic about the environment next year based on some of the major news. The things we were just talking about.
You bet.
The tariff settlement, bringing Zelensky and Putin to potential face-to-face meetings here soon to end that war. Those are things that would go a long way into a more favorable environment next year.
And if you defund Planned Parenthood, those are all things that lend to a favorable environment for us.
I agree with that, okay? And so I may have a different opinion 60 days from now than I do right now.
Sure.
But as it stands right now, brother, I think it is a terrible idea to run a member of Congress against somebody like that, because he will get to define our nominee by Congress and its inaction and unpopularity every single day, okay? Yeah. Now, maybe in 90 or 120 days, they're going to do some of the things that they haven't done for the last 90 and 120 days, and at that point, I might have a different opinion, but they have completely squandered the first 120 days. They've been in there about 10 days longer than Trump has been. They've completely squandered it. Cockroaches and root canals are literally more popular than the United States Congress is right now, okay? I think that's a terrible idea to run a member of Congress against him.
And again, we talked about that last week, and I think the good news is that whether Randy Feenstra, he's the only congressional candidate that may get in. He has not decided he's going to get in yet, but if he does get in, he will have a primary, and my guess he's going to have to debate those issues in a Republican primary as well before it gets to a general. The thing is, what you said, there's some things that are happening on the national front and the international front. A lot of it's Trump's doing. That Trump is kind of, he and his team are doing it. But those could be victories for him to, say, latch onto down the road as well. But today, you're right. The Congress doesn't have a high approval rating.
Given what we've done on the ground since I should have mentioned him by name and I didn't, forgive me, you did. Since we're talking about Congressman Randy Feenstra, given what we've done here on the ground, I am really not concerned about Governor Randy Feenstra. We've moved the state so far to the right. He would be boxed in. Many of the great things we've done are at a statute level. He couldn't betray us on things even if he wanted to.
And
I
even
am
the
concerned
legislature
about,
that he left is way more conservative
Correct.
today if he came back.
I am concerned about candidate Randy Feenstra.
Yeah.
Okay. And you have personal experience with what I'm talking about.
Sure.
And we could be, if these things don't work out, we could be looking like an environment like what you ran up against when you ran with Jim Nussle back in 2006. Yeah. I think it's a terrible idea to run a member of Congress.
There's an axiom in politics that I've used a lot. If you don't win, you don't govern.
Right.
You have to win this seat. In my opinion, this is a must-win seat.